All right, Miranda, so coming up on May 17th, you are doing a buyback program. A lot of people are referring to this as a gun grab, though. Can you explain how this is not?
Yes, it's not a gun grab. It simply gives people in New Mexico the opportunity to get unwanted guns out of their homes. And you don't have to participate. It's voluntary. I wish that the people who think that this is a horrible program saw what we see. When there's a line around the block of people with guns they simply need to get rid of. Law enforcement in New Mexico cannot take them by law. They can, but it's very difficult, so they're not going to do it. We have had people when we have literally run out of cash and we have to go tell the long line we're out of cash, half of the people stay. And we have had numerous times where somebody says to us, I need this out of the house. I'm suicidal. My husband's going to kill me. I can't be in a home where there's a firearm. My teenager is not safe to have a firearm in the home. It simply is giving people that opportunity. And if they want to go sell the gun legally, go do that. We don't have a problem with that. Go do that. Please do it legally. But this gives people an opportunity to go, I don't have to worry about this firearm anymore. That's all it does. And so, no, it's not a gun grab. It's not going against the Second Amendment, which we've heard sheriffs say before. No, this is simply a way to get those guns out of homes.
Now, you guys do what's called Guns to Gardens, which I think is a really neat project. Tell us what that is specifically.
We work with a lot of different organizations around the country that are doing very similar programs, and we all just came under the same umbrella as Guns to Gardens. So what we do is once the guns are dismantled, they have to buy back on site, and they're run through NCIC. Any firearms that are stolen go back to the rightful owner. And if they were in a crime, that would go into evidence. But to this day, in this over 3,000 firearms we have taken in, no criminal is so dumb to show up to a police department, with a gun that they just used in a crime and say, I want $200 so I can get some groceries, right? So we dismantle them on site, and then they go to different schools in Albuquerque, and the students are learning how to forge and weld them into gardening tools, musical instruments. We have one school, RFK Charter High School. They're actually building a room made out of the firearms so that people could sit in there and think about all the lives we've lost with gun violence.
As you mentioned, there's a lot of people that consider your message being anti-Second Amendment. What do you say to those folks?
Read the Second Amendment? I mean, all you have to do is read the Second Amendment. This has nothing to do with the Second Amendment. You can have your right to bear arms. We're not taking that away. We're giving you a right to get rid of your arms in a safe way if that's what you want, but that has nothing to do with the Second Amendment. Politics are so divisive right now, right? We've been dealing with this forever with this program, but if people would actually read the Second Amendment and then look what we're doing, they'll go, oh, okay, that's not going against the Second Amendment. It's voluntary. If we were going into people's homes and ripping guns out of people's hands who were law-abiding citizens, that would be against the Second Amendment. And I can assure you, under no circumstances are we going to be doing that. This is simply so people can voluntarily get rid of unwanted firearms that they don't want.
And you mentioned some of the situations in which people feel like they are suicidal or feel that they are in danger. What are some of the other circumstances in which people want to surrender their weapons to you as opposed to taking them to a pawn shop or selling them at a gun show?
It's a good question. I think the saddest that we see, and we see it almost every buyback, is the mother or father in tears and the gun still in the evidence box, and it was used to their child had shot and killed themselves. It was suicide. And they don't want that firearm to ever go back on the street. So what happens is that gun is their property, right? So it gets sent back to them in an evidence box in the mail, or they go pick it up. Those are some of the saddest moments. And we actually always have a social worker at every one of our buybacks because there's usually somebody who it's very emotional for them to get rid of that firearm because that firearm hurt somebody they love very badly, and they don't ever want that trigger pulled again. And it's healing for them to know when they hear the chops on the back that gun's not going to hurt anybody.
So tell me about the event coming up on the 17th.
It's in Albuquerque at the UNM Command Center, and it goes from 9 to 12. You do not have to be from Albuquerque to participate. We've had people drive from Silver City, Las Cruces. Sometimes we do them in Las Cruces, actually. So anybody who wants to turn in their firearm, they can. I would strongly suggest you get there early. We have exactly $30,000, and we usually run out within the first 2 hours. We'll stay there till the end, but if you want to get that, you should get there early. And also, we're giving out Isotopes tickets and Lobos men's basketball games and United soccer games. And the address is at 1009 Bradbury Drive, Southeast Albuquerque, and it'll go from 9 to 12. And we'll be giving $250 in cash for assault-style weapons, $200 for semi-automatic handguns and rifles, and $100 for long guns and pistols.
The money you're going to be paying people is nowhere near the value of these weapons.
No, nowhere near. It's simply a thank you for saying thank you for participating. And like I said earlier, if you want to sell your firearm legally, please go do that. We have no problem with that. But if you don't, and you just want to make sure you don't have to worry about it again, then that's what this program gives you.
So people pull up, they don't get out of their vehicle. They pop the trunk.
No.
And you guys secure the weapon?
Law enforcement does. We work with APD. They will take the firearms out of the car, make sure they're not loaded, and then run them through NCIC. By the time they're running them through NCIC, the person's gone. But that way, if it is a stolen gun and we don't get that many, then it goes back to its rightful owner.
And then on site, the weapon is dismantled and disabled.
Immediately, yeah. Are
there any other comments or something that you want to bring up to the people hearing about this? Some of the people may be hearing about this for the first time.
For those who think it goes against the Second Amendment, obviously, no, it doesn't. And perhaps to just sit for a moment and go, okay, there are people that are in situations where they shouldn't have a firearm, and this gives them a safe way to get rid of them. And if somebody does have that firearm and has any sense that maybe it's not a safe time to have that firearm in their home, this way they can go, no questions asked, we get rid of the firearm. And it also is an opportunity to get rid of illegal firearms, right? So we get sawed-off shotguns that are brought in. We get firearms that have no business being in the civilian population, and people have inherited them or they found them, and they need to get rid of them. It's a felony for them to have them. They can turn them in, no questions asked, go on their merry way, and know that that firearm will never hurt anybody.
What happens if someone shows up with a homemade weapon?
Oh, if somebody shows up with a pipe and explosive, no, we don't take those. And we've had that. And we also don't show up with a 3D printed gun, because what we saw was that people were printing guns with their 3D printers, which was cheaper than what we were offering. And so don't print out a bunch of 3D printed semi-automatic handguns for $50 and then think you're going to get $150 for it. We won't take them.
If anyone has any questions, how do they get a hold of you?
They can just call my cell phone. I always give my cell phone away, 323-394-1131. If they have any questions, have them call me.